Hello, everyone. What are we doing today? Well, I was sitting at a cafe earlier having a coffee, as you do in Ninh Binh, Vietnam. Almost dusted this one off. If you're wondering why it's dripping wet, it's because it's sitting. You served it up to me like this. So it's like a cup inside of a cup with some hot water to keep it warm. But because I've been chin wagging, it's gone cold. So let's just get this out of the way. This will surely help with the conversation. Yeah, this is Shannon, and Shannon's from Melbourne in Victoria, Australia. And essentially, we've been talking as of late, just casually with each other about crypto and XRP and the things that are happening specifically in the US of A. And yeah, obviously, they've got a shutdown happening at the moment. There's some documents ready to be signed by the SEC that will open up XRP or Ripple to then offer some of their big. Well, anyways, this is what we're talking about. Okay, this is what we're talking about. Shannon and I were just casually talking about it, and I was like, "Hold on a second. This is exactly one of those circumstances where maybe there's some other people out there." That would be interested. So why don't we just chuck on a live stream? Sounds easier than it actually happens because I've been having a muck around with all the technological gremlins. But we're here. Welcome to the stream, Shannon. Welcome to the stream. Did you want to maybe introduce yourself and just let them know who you are, what you're about? No, don't go into too much detail. We need a bit of mystery.
Yeah, no, that's right. Currently, some information to surprise, but yeah, no, I from Australia, and I too also very much enjoy traveling to Thailand, and I've also been to Vietnam, and so I'm a big fan of Southeast Asian food, and so well overdue to head back to Asia.
Yeah, you were in Thailand recently, right? Did you had a bit of a celebration or something over here?
Yeah, I was in Indonesia earlier this year and spent a week on the mainland, and then headed over to Lombok Island, which is...
You've been over there before, hey?
Yeah, and so it's nice to just sort of have a villa overlooking the reef and getting around, banging it around on some mopeds and drinking beers by the pool. So
now,
got to do
is that a surfing spot? Because you've always surfed back in the day, and I know that a lot of people like surfing over there. So, do you head out on the board and stuff like that as well, or?
Yeah, look, I'm a bit of a lazy surfer, so I ride. For anyone that surfs, I ride a fish, so it's a thicker surfboard. It's still made of your same material, but it's just a lot more buoyant, which basically means you less work to actually get up on the wave. But yeah, my brothers and brother-in-law are a lot more athletic in that way than I am. But yes, it's a good surf spot too. So yeah, and if anyone's keen to go to Lombok Island in Bali, it's off the coast of Kuta. It's a lot more enjoyable than the mainland. So,
and what's the name of that again? Because I remember you went to a place called Lombok, but it sounds like you're saying something different this time.
That's right. So there's a couple of islands off the coast of Kuta.
Right.
Lombok, an island. Lombongan Island is a smaller little island and good for surfing. It's got a couple of nice breaks. Anyone that's been there will know playgrounds, shipwrecks, and
okay.
And there's a lot of good snorkeling as well. So actually got some fantastic footage of having dived with the manta rays and that. They're cool.
Oh, mad. Nice. Yeah. Nice. Well, and that says a lot. That says a lot in the sense of, you're enjoying the beaches and stuff over there because, as people probably saw in the description, we're both from Australia. So Australia essentially is one big, unbroken, awesome beach. So it takes a lot to impress Australians for a beach. Hence why when I'm over in these places in Asia, I tend to actually avoid the beaches. I'm not really that too fussed about them. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some picturesque spots and stuff, but I like the the rainforest, the hills, the mountainous areas, the caves and stuff like that. But like I said, there's something to be said for that, with Shannon going to Indonesia and just frothing out, as the surfers say, over the beaches there. So they must be pretty good. I've never been there before. We've got someone in the chat, Dustin Wilson. G'day, mate. How you going? Hope you're doing well in body, soul, mind, and spirit. And if you're not, that's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. Keep that in mind and fight on. But yeah, welcome to the chat. Essentially, Shannon and I are just going to jump into talking about some crypto-related stuff. I was just sitting here. It's a really cold day in Ninh Binh today. Ninh Binh, Vietnam, the old capital city of Vietnam before it moved to Hanoi. And the weather as of today has just changed, and it's gone from being 20, 25, 30 degrees each day down to 13, and yeah, hence the jumper. So I was just cruising around earlier, stopped in at a new place, which is pretty much a guy's little garage thing that he's got going on. If I just turn the video around, we've got someone else from Vietnam as well, Yen Pham Tan. G'day, mate. Xin chào. Hope you're doing well. So if I turn this around, look, this is where I am. I'm just sitting in a little cafe. Old mate's sitting over here on his phone. We've got some little tunes going. And I just cruised past, and it was cold as. I thought, yeah, we'll grab a quick little coffee. And that's escalated to 2 black coffees, Cafe Den, as you call it in Vietnam. And anyways, blah, blah, blah. Glad to have you guys as part of the stream. And Shannon and I started talking about crypto, and we were like, why don't we just turn the YouTube on? Why don't we just do a video that we've kept talking about for years and years? We're like, this is a good podcast. This is a good... So now we've actually done it with no real planning, no real makeup. It is what it is. But anyways, all right. Shannon's been going down to the rabbit hole in regard to XRP. So XRP, also known as Ripple, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon, now, is it 4th, 5th or 6th on the market cap, on like coin market?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So I'll just double check that. I'm not sure anyone that's paying attention to anything to do with finance, whether you're in stocks or the crypto scene, would have, been reeling after that huge loss, a couple of weeks ago off the back of that, what we believe was the Trump tweet regarding the Chinese tariffs and that. So I know that there's been some movement, but if I just go to coin market cap,
that's a website for anyone that doesn't know. It's just like a well-known website that indexes all the coins and stuff. You can get to know all the information.
So, I mean, XRP was sitting 3rd, and I know it had flipped Tether earlier this year in like June, July. But after that big sort of correction or crash or whatever you want to call it, recently it's dropped down to 5th. But I mean, look, it's sitting at 145 billion, and then BNB is at 155. So I look with those with the looming ETF applications on the horizon, I would have thought that there's some good news ahead for XRP, and that probably will start to climb back up as more and more money flows back in from retail and potentially and hopefully from some institutions as well.
So with that crash that happened recently in the stock market, so let's go into that a bit. So what do we think can happen there?
Yeah, I mean, look, my understanding is that it's off the back of the tweet.
You said the tweet,
made,
right?
Yeah. Regarding the US, the US imposing another batch of tariffs on China, but then there was another tweet after that, shortly after that, sort of said, "Oh, it was all a misunderstanding. Everything's fine." And so, yeah, I mean, you can draw whatever conclusion you want from
Okay. I get you.
validity of
Yeah.
that. But
So
I think that's what the trigger was.
Yeah. So there was a tweet that was put out by the American president, and that was threatening increased tariffs towards China, and it's around cooking oil. He targeted cooking oil, didn't he? They were targeting soybeans or something, and then actually, I'll just jump in the chat. So Dustin says he's from Missouri, Trenton, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, Dustin. Yeah, g'day. I don't know what is the local thing that you would say in Missouri when you like greet someone. Obviously, you're not saying g'day, but what would you say in? Is there a local Missouri greeting of some kind? My grandpa has bone cancer. Okay, that's a pretty serious thing. So yeah, we well obviously it comes without reason that we hope that he has a good recovery. But if not, we wish and hope and actually, you know what? I'll pray for him tonight. Don't know what his name is, but I'll make an effort to do that. I'm sure Shannon will as well. Hi or good day. Okay. Yep. Pretty much the same. G'day is good day. Anyways, back to the topic. So, off the back of this tweet, there was a bit of a market crash, and we didn't really see Bitcoin dip, though, did we? Bitcoin didn't really dip all that much.
No.
A lot of the altcoins and the other things dipped, though, didn't they? Off the back of that.
Yeah. Bitcoin's pretty much. I mean, it's sitting at 109 US. So I think, I mean, it's, it might have moved 5 or 10%, but because it's so valuable now, it's just a 10% or a 15% crash doesn't really mean anything.
When I looked at it on the chart over the last 12 months, it was consistent with all the ups and downs over the last 12 months. So it's pretty much unaffected. Okay, so let's talk about and Dustin, Joe Wilson, that's his name, and sadly, it's not curable. Okay, well, look, thanks for sharing that. I'll definitely address that in prayer tonight, and we'll go from there. So wishing him all the best. But we'll jump back onto topic at the moment. We'll keep going. But Dustin, if you have any questions about the topics that we're talking about, feel free to ask us some questions, and we'll do our best to answer. None of this is financial advice whatsoever. This is purely two guys, one of which is sitting here in Vietnam having a coffee, and one of which is freezing over in Melbourne, Victoria at the moment with the weather. But I'm glad that you've joined, and I'm glad that you're active in the chat. So I hope you're doing well. So yeah, a lot of the altcoins dipped. Bitcoin, not so much. But let's talk about, say, for example, you've been focusing on XRP a lot lately. You're quite bullish on that. You're things if and when the government in America opens back up again, and there's some filings. Just clear me up on this. There's some filings before the SEC. The SEC is the Securities and Exchange Commission of America, and if and when those, am I right in saying if, or is it just when those documents are signed? Essentially, you've got all these large size hedge funds in America. They're ready and poised to sell ETFs to just any and everyone that wants them. Am I right in saying that? Is that a...
Yeah. So, yeah, my understanding. I should, before I get into those pending ETF applications. I'll just preface all of this by saying, so yeah, I sort of tuned out of the crypto scene for quite a few years during COVID. So I bought some crypto in like 2018, 2019, and some of the crypto that I bought did absolutely nothing, and has never recovered. And so, and I can get into that conversation later. But so like I hadn't been paying attention to any of this for years. My focus has been on real estate, for example, and I've been, my priorities have been elsewhere. And So what actually got me down the rabbit hole with Ripple and XRP was I'm interested in I'll let that noise pass. I'm
What's going
interested.
on? What can you hear? Is it cars or something or what?
Yeah, just your traffic. It's fine. So
Okay.
as I was saying, um, I'm interested in what's happening in current affairs and the legal and political world, and that's an interest of mine. And um, so I had seen this news article about this company called Ripple that was being sued by the SEC in America and effectively won a lawsuit. And I was like, surely that can't happen every day. And so that was what led me to actually start looking into
And so when
the
did that
company.
happen? During COVID?
Yeah, over the last few years, from what I
Yeah.
understand, there's
And what is
been
it they
kind of
won exactly? Do we know exactly what they
yeah.
won?
So that was clarification that XRP, the cryptocurrency coin, is not a security; it's a commodity.
Okay.
So, short of legislative clarity, there's now the judicial system stepped in and they've made that assessment and that determination. That's a good thing for anyone that had bought from
Okay.
Ripple and
So
crypto.
before that, they didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what it was. They hadn't yet made a ruling on what XRP exactly was. But during COVID, or maybe at the end of COVID, they went before the
Yeah.
courts. It got ticked off as a, what are we calling it again?
A commodity. Yeah.
A commodity. Okay. Now, how many? So COVID was a while ago, but at the same time, not too long ago. That's weird. It feels so long ago, but it feels like yesterday at the same time.
Mm.
But now there's this next level bunch of documents before the SEC, and that's not going to just recognize it as a commodity, but it will allow them to.
Yeah. Well, so that's right. So there's these pending ETF applications by various different funds, hedge funds, money makers. I'm not sure of the terminology in the United States, but these different groups that have assets under management um, have filed, and a number of them have filed applications for spot ETFs for XRP. And so there's
And
a
we're talking
handful of
big groups. We're talking not small like venture capital or anything. We're talking like big funds that
yeah.
are well known, all the top ones.
So I can rattle off the list that I just had to look up because there's a few of them. So you've got ProShares Trust, Grayscale Investments, 21 Shares AG, Bitwise Asset Management, Canary Capital, Wisdom Tree Investments, CoinShares, Franklin and Templeton Investments, and
They're
then
quite big, aren't
RexShares
they?
Corporation. Yeah, like I mean, um, there's some pretty reputable groups there, and I don't have the information there, but if you look those up, you can see some of them have got like billions of dollars in assets under management. Like they're not
Yep,
small fish, right?
yep,
So,
yep.
um,
So
yeah.
they're all
So
on the books. They're all in partnership with the XRP management, and they're ready to offer to their clients, which could be other big businesses, could be private citizens, could be whatever. They've got people that want to buy into crypto, but they need to legalize. And again, this is, correct me if I'm wrong, they need to legalize how they want to do it. And how they want to do it is through the XRP, I don't know, way or XRP coin, or they're going to essentially
yeah,
tokenize XRP, right? My understanding is the hedge funds will own the core XRP, then they will sell to their
yeah,
clients a tokenized version of it, and that will be put together as an ETF. So it might be, you might have a little bit of money into the AI stuff that's happening. You might have a little bit of stuff into medical. You might have a little bit of stuff into, like, I don't know, online gaming, or you might have whatever. They'll create these ETFs. They'll sell them as tokenized. Is it asset? Is that the right word? Tokenized asset or
yeah,
something?
yeah,
Yeah. And then essentially you won't. This is the bit that is weird to me. So you won't own you own a token that then is worth something in the hedge fund, and then the hedge fund is the one that owns the shares and whatnot, right? Is that kind of how it works?
Well, I mean, it's the equivalent of holding a stock.
Okay.
or a share, and in any other commodity. So you could own stocks in a company or shares in a company that only buys gold, physical gold or bullion.
Mm.
It's just any public or like listed company you could buy shares and stocks in. So it's the equivalent of buying shares in a public listed company.
Okay.
There are, so that's to differentiate there though. There are, so that ProShares Trust are futures based, and there's Canary Capital. No, not Canary Capital. There was another one. True Cream Trading LLC has a futures approved ETF as well. But they, to differentiate, they don't buy the XRP coin itself, and so it's just contract derivatives based. Is my very loose understanding. And so the reason why that's important is because they're not affecting the market value of the coin because they're not buying it, as opposed to the spot ETF, which if $1 billion comes in and sucks a heap of liquidity out of the market, if they all get approved at the same time, then the speculation is that there's just not enough liquidity on exchanges to actually service retail demand if those ETFs are all approved at the same time. So to answer your question, are they going to be approved? Well, there's been futures-based ETFs for XRP that have already been approved. There's been spot ETFs for Bitcoin and Ethereum that have been approved. There's a
Why not
new
with
head of the
XRP?
why not with XRP?
Hmm.
Um,
We got some people from Vietnam in the chat as well, so that's a really long name, and I don't want
to butcher.
yeah, Li Thi Ngop, I Kung Li Thi Ngop An. Yes, I am. Said hi, hello, come on. Good night. Dustin's back in the chat. So were you talking about COVID, right? And there is a second one. Yeah, we'll just talk. Well, we weren't talking necessarily about COVID. We're just talking about Shannon started to take an interest in XRP around the COVID times. So that's when he started really getting into it. I am not fully across the board on the XRP as much as Shannon, but he's been getting me up to speed with that pretty quickly. I've historically been more interested in, like during COVID, I was doing more of the mining. So I was interested in mining. But yeah, it's something that's really big at the moment. A lot of people are talking about it. So there was something else I was going to bring up. The Genius Act, right? This is directly linked to this. So for anyone that's been watching the American side of things, the administration has signed into law, I suppose. It's been gone through Congress and everything. It's gone through, right? It hasn't just
I
been
believe
signed,
so.
but it's been ticked off on, or like at every level. Maybe you could do a
I,
quick search for it or something.
yeah, sure.
Because my understanding is the Genius Act is a thing that the administration has done in cahoots and in partnership with a lot of these people, i.e. Ripple and a lot of these other groups, as a way to, okay, now this is the interesting part. A lot of countries have been getting rid of their American bonds. Now, what is a bond? A bond is like buying American debt with a certificate that says, okay, we'll pay you back X amount at a certain amount of time. China has always owned a lot of those bonds, but over the last 5 to 10 years, they've been selling those bonds back to the Americans, and they've been moving more into gold. Okay, so essentially, there's a lot of debt in the States, and they're trying to figure out ways to address that debt. So my understanding is that through Ripple, through a lot of these other, are they called blue chip companies or something, Shannon? Like they've said there's some type of organization that they've set up. I think it's called blue chip or something or other. And essentially the administration has greenlit them to sell into the private sector essentially bonds, government bonds or government debt that is packaged as crypto. Is that what that whole thing is? Or at
Well, this
least
is
in
where
part, right?
so this is where the stable coins come in, but then the stable coin legislation has mandated that they have to use it to buy bonds. Is that right? That was your
I believe at least to some degree they have to purchase for it to be legit and for them to meet the criteria. They have to purchase a certain amount of bonds, which is government debt. I don't know if I don't believe it all has to be government debt. It just has to be a certain amount, I believe. And so the idea and the thought is, right, because we had Russia come out recently. One of Russia's head guys, I can't remember his name, but he came out quite a few weeks or months ago and said that essentially their read on it is America is trying to move all their debt into the crypto space, sell it to private citizens, and then debase the currency so that their debt repayments become less, right? So they don't have to pay back as much debt. They've moved it onto someone else. They've debased the dollar, so brought the... I wonder what that is. I think that's... Maybe I can buy some meat. Old mate's probably going to start cooking some meat out the front. They're going to move it into the sell it to your average Joe Blow, debase the dollar. The price of it's going to go down, so then they don't have to pay back as much debt. So that's what the Russians, their read on the situation is, and that's what they're saying. Now, I think there's probably elements of truth to that, but I don't think that they're necessarily going to just like debase it. It's going to fall through the ground and it's going to cease to exist. I believe that they're going to try and make this new system work. I believe these rails that you've been talking about, this XRP taking over 20% of the SWIFT system, with all these hedge funds selling their tokenized assets or whatever into the private sector. I believe they're going to actually try and make it work. I don't think they're just going to tank it. It's just going to disappear. I don't know. Again, we're not experts on this type of stuff. We're just talking about it. I'm having a coffee. Shannon's down in Melbourne, just tending to things. So that's my understanding. Is that your understanding as well, Shannon? Like, what? Yeah. Am I kind of accurate with that, or?
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of putting a pin in the conversation around what Ripple's white paper is and what their own ambitions are, because as a private company, they've got their own agenda. I think their agenda is basically to replace Swift entirely, but putting that conversation aside, because that's obviously quite ambitious, what's realistic is there seems to be a lot of there's a lot of fast-moving parts right now, and I sent you that
the video this morning.
We were looking at a video earlier this morning about summarizing all of the acquisitions that Ripple has made. And it's all very convenient that they're starting to build out, what appears to be the model for becoming a seriously, competing bank and a group with access at the treasury level to start clearing significant amounts of money and basically tickle the boxes that regulatory compliance would require from the US standard and from the international banking standard to be allowed to move that money. And that, anyone that's watching this already knows that ISO compliant along with a handful of other coins. So
what does that mean? What is ISO? What is them? Or are they now ISO compliant, or is this pending that tick of approval by the SEC?
No, ISO compliant.
What does that mean?
I don't want to butcher the explanation because I'm not.
That's all right. You got a computer? Can you do a quick search?
Yeah, I'll just give you the Google definition just so that we don't get that wrong. So ISO 2022 is an internationally recognized standard that was developed and is maintained by ISO, which is an international standard. It's general purpose standard for development of financial industry messaging in the payment, securities, trade services, card, and foreign exchanges, business and domains. So it is
English. Can you say that in English?
It's the standard, the international standard that's approved by the international governing body. For to be able to facilitate cross-border payments.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Okay. So that's approved. So they now have
They meet the level. They
capability.
meet the level. They meet the standard to start doing that. It's the same thing as, like, say, for example, mobile phones. They all have to meet like an international standard for maybe being safe in regard to electrocuting people or this. Or, and that's why when you look on the back of the phone, it's like ISO this, blah 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 this, and it's got all those little ticks and things for different countries.
Yep.
That's essentially what we're talking about. So Dustin's in the chat. So they are pretty much getting rid of the bonds. What we're saying is our read on it is that, yeah, a lot of countries are selling their bonds back to the USA because they're looking at how much debt they've got and their economy, and they're kind of losing trust in a sense, you could say. And like a good example of that is with China. Now they're moving to gold. They've been buying heaps of gold. We'll get into that in a second because they're doing something very different. They're setting up a thing called the Shanghai Gold Exchange to do with bricks and stuff like that. But anyways, essentially, they're wanting to lower or get rid of their debt burden by, if these other countries aren't going to hold their bonds anymore, they've got to figure out what to do with it. So how do you do that? Move it into the crypto space, okay? And they've got groups of people that are willing to do that. And there's plenty of people that want to get into crypto and stuff like that. So they're going to offer that crypto to them as bonds, and as a certain amount of those bonds are going to be backed by, and we don't know how much at this point. We're not sure how much they have to have of the bonds in there. Do you know what I mean? That's what we don't know.
I haven't gone down the rabbit hole. If you know, put it in the chat.
And then Stu Lavelle is in the chat saying international standard. Yeah, ISO international standard. So g'day Stu, hope you're doing good, mate. So what are they paying with now? Sorry, I don't quite follow what you're saying, Dustin. What are they paying with now? If you can just maybe clarify that a bit. But okay, Stu Lavelle, maybe Shannon. Can you see those messages on your end, Shannon?
Yeah.
Maybe do you want to take a few questions as well?
Yeah, sure. Before I do, I'll just say, so the other use cases from what I understand, the other use cases for XRP and the XRP ledger and any of these other competing cryptocurrency exchanges, or these cryptocurrency ledgers, I should say, the issue with the reverse carry trade. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I've had to learn this recently.
Yeah, neither of us are. We're just two guys having to talk about this stuff.
It seems to be that there is, when you say that there's companies that are selling those debt back or their bonds back to the United States, and Japan is looking to unwind a lot of debt, and they're
haven't they said that they don't want Japan to do that? Like for the most part these days, right? The America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, all those Five Eyes countries, we have what is for the most part a good relationship with Japan, and they rely heavily on the Western countries to help with their economy and stuff. So do you think, because I did hear something like, yeah, they were saying they might sell them back, but America's probably going to say, yeah, please don't do that, right?
Yeah, so this is where, if Japan is forced to because of their own economic issues, this is where, and there's much more qualified hedge fund managers that are on YouTube and do their content, and that have got theories about this that are quite well known, who have explained this much better than I ever will. But my loose understanding is that this is where the theory around an XRP ledger or a Circle or some of these other cryptocurrencies could come into play, or even stablecoins theoretically, where if they wrap those bonds up in crypto and redistribute it, it will stop the mass production of printing US dollars to compensate for the incoming debt, and then that'll help offset the inflation. So
that will strengthen the US dollar, right?
I think theoretically that was what they would like, the regulators would like to do, but I think there's real consequences if.
But what I'm saying is, as they sell that debt on and they can offload a bit of it, that will, the idea, like once you lower the debt, then it strengthens, right? When you have less debt. That's the idea, right?
I think in principle that sounds right. Whether that's what comes to fruition in
Okay.
the current sort of status, I don't know. Like
Okay.
if all this debt comes flooding back, it just could just, and that's where I think what the crazy theories about these altcoins being used, like XLM, XRP, hbar, all these other cryptos to wrap a lot of this debt up, and then redistribute it, pretty much the same way that they did it. They revalued gold under, was it Nixon back in the 70s or whatever it was. The theory is that it might inflate artificially some of these coins. Anyway, so there was the reverse carry trade. There's the cross border payments, the derivatives market in America, and then I've heard on the grapevine um, talk about retirement funds in the United States actually being approved to now hold cryptocurrencies as part of their portfolios at a percentage, and so um, one would think that you know there's going to be an increase in the value of these coins. I, I don't know. I don't know. I've put some money in because I think that it feels like there's some movement and there's some traction happening, and it's
Yeah,
it
like
feels like
Shannon's looking at, correct me if I'm wrong, Shannon's looking at XRP, and he's looked into this stuff. Neither of us are financial advisors. None of this is financial advice. We're two guys just talking it out, trying to make sense of it all. And yeah, he's thinking, okay, they're set, specifically Ripple is set to take over maybe even 15 to 20% of the Swift system. And I can see down here, if you want to address these, Mr. Stu Novell, if you scroll up a little bit, he's talking about Swift, Shannon. I don't know if you want to read out those messages and maybe address some of that.
Swift has an error rate of approximately 7%.
There's a few more above that as well, Shannon, if you scroll up.
Now comes atomic settlement.
Well, he says Swift is the messaging system since 1970. It's old, clunky, and although the messages are sent, it takes 3 to 5 days to move money. Yeah, anyone that's done like international transfers and that knows that that wait time can be painful as all hell. But not only the wait time, but the cost of doing that. Like the fees are insane, and that's why a lot of people are moving to different systems, i.e., like neobanks and things that offer like cheaper international transfers. Wise, Revolut. MoneyGram's been around for a long time. I don't know what the prices are on that type of thing, but you can drastically reduce the price of international transfers by using those services. But at the same time, the Swift system is still in effect, and that's the main rail. Is it a rail? That's the right term, mate. It's the main rail that most of the international banking is done through still. Then we've got Stu's, now comes atomic settlement. I'm not sure what that is. Do you know what atomic settlement is, Shannon? Maybe you could Google it while we're going. What is atomic settlement? Just remember, we're not noobs. We're definitely not noobs, but we're not savants with this either.
Okay, so atomic settlement is a simultaneous and indivisible exchange of assets, ensuring that either the entire transaction completes successfully or it fails completely. Yeah, sure. Okay, so it's in real time, instant settlement.
Yep. Then Dustin's back in the chat. When they get rid of, Dustin's saying, what are they going to pay with what are they paying with now? And then when they get rid of the bonds, the bond is just an IOU. That's what it is. A bond is just an IOU. It's like, how do we reduce our debt? We'll give the debt to someone else, and then we'll tell them that we're going to pay them back a little bit more later on when we get the money. So the idea is that they're still going to stick with the United States, currency as the reserve. They're still going to want to use that. Swift has an error rate of approximately 7%. I did not know that. Did you know that, Shannon? 7%. That seems terrible.
That makes sense. Like I have to do work that involves sending paying associates internationally, and as of late, when I'm doing anything, like if I'm doing anything for myself,
Yep.
it's easier just to hand a client the invoice from an associate and have them pay it, because the drama of having to, like, my first job out of uni, I was adding 20% to the cost of an invoice just to cover any gap. So that's 7%.
So who's getting that money? Who's getting
I've
that?
seen margins of error greater than 7% because of
Who
the
is getting
percentage.
that, dude? Who's getting that? That 7%?
Oh, it's just crazy, man. Like, yeah, I've had to deal with it as a real problem, and it's an ongoing issue I have to deal with when I'm paying international associates.
So
So,
hold on. So you put another 20% on there just for essentially what's going to be lost or sucked up in the system as a payment for doing it.
I know a lot of firms will do that, or something around that number. Not all of them, but a lot of them will. And so what's like what's left over probably ends up being just tacked onto their profit margins at the end of the day. But a lot of it does just go to the shortfall that Swift is basically absorbing. Yeah.
True. Okay, let's
So
get back
it's a live
into.
issue that I've had to deal with.
And Stu says, "Yeah, imagine that when you're sending like $1 billion. What is 7% of $1 billion, Shannon? Jeez, that's a lot of money just gets sucked up into the system."
70 million?
Mm. Okay, so Dustin, so if I was to send my bonds back to the USA, are we gaining more money from that? So, say for example, what China's been doing is China has bought historically bonds off. I believe, Shannon, if you could Google this or DuckDuckGo it or whatever your search engine of choice is, who has historically been the biggest holder of American bonds? If you can Google
Yeah,
that, I believe
I
that's
thought it was.
China.
I thought it was. Who owns?
And while
Who
Shannon,
holds?
yeah, who has historically held the most amount of American government bonds? My understanding is China has always had the most, but they've been offloading them for the last 5 to 10 years and moving towards gold. So Dustin's question is, are we gaining more money from that? No, essentially, if you hand it in before the maturity time, you're not getting back what was promised. But they don't really care at the moment because China's looking at it going, yeah, we don't trust that they're actually going to be able to pay it back at the maturity point anyway. And even if they can, they're still trepidatious even will because of they might pay them back, but then they'll get them on the tail end by tariffs or something. Or I think that's the idea. So it's better that they just get rid of it, go towards something that they deem to be solid and stable. Gold. Instant settlement, boys. Stu Noble, instant settlement. So that's in regard to these new systems, right? Because Swift isn't instant, right? This is the thing. So these new XRP, these new technologies are more likely to provide instant settlement and a lot quicker across borders. That's where this whole blockchain technology comes in. And Stu Lavelle says Japan, and now Shannon has DuckDuckGo'd it. What is the duck? Or Brave searched it. What does Brave say?
The Google AI overview.
You're using Google. Oh.
Historically, it's been the US government itself, but followed by foreign governments, particularly Japan and China.
Ooh, okay.
So
Japan.
and so it's said both countries at different times have held the higher
Sure.
amount. That it has changed, but yeah. So
Can you
you're
look
both
up
right.
now, Shannon? How much like does to what? How much does Japan currently hold? And if they have been selling them back to the US, or if they're still holding strong? Because I think there would probably be talks with Japan, and America would probably be saying, please don't sell them off too quick back to us. I can imagine.
So, oh, wow. Okay, so who has historically held the most US Treasury securities? Foreign holdings. The share of US federal debt held by foreign entities is about 8.5 trillion. Japan is 1 trillion. China mainland's about 800 billion, and then the UK is about 720 US.
Yeah.
So, and that's come off the Congress.gov site. So that's straight
So
off the
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so that
Straight. What is it? From the mouth of the babe? No, that's not the. What is it?
isn't the mouth of the pig? No, the horse in the house of the mouth of the horse, isn't it?
That's it. Something like that. From the mouth of babes or something. What is it? What's that other saying?
I don't know.
um,
Yeah.
Getting
So to
distracted.
go full circle. So
Yeah.
it was these issues and the lawsuit that sort of prompted me to actually re-look at crypto again, and then go, oh, it feels like there's some look. The term being thrown around online is the largest shift in like financial shift of our lifetime or something, and that this is equivalent to the dot-com boom. Um, if that's
Mm.
true, I don't know. Like this is for me, it just feels like gambling. But if that is true, and based on the other people um, I've spoken to, and I've people online, and then that's people I work with as well. Um, there's some fairly you know reputable people that I've spoken to who are buying like substantial amounts of XRP.
Yeah, and
Uh,
you're in some interesting circles at the moment. So,
yeah.
what are some of those people saying to you? And do you usually bring it up, or have you had them bring it up with you? Like
No,
what?
I'll use a live example of a colleague. I'm currently working in an in-house capacity for
Don't.
the largest,
Yeah,
the,
just
la- uh,
don't dox yourself.
yeah, uh, the largest automotive company in Australia, and I share an office space with people that are in the finance teams and other 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 accounting areas. And so
Mm.
you hear these open office environments, you hear people talking about all kinds of stuff. And so
Mm.
one of the higher up managers talking about his crypto holding, and XRP kept coming up. And this guy bought in ages ago when he was buying in at like 50 cents a coin. And he was honest with me, and I said, how many tokens you're holding? And this guy's got like 10,000 XRP. Oh, no, sorry. I think it was 14,000 XRP tokens.
Do you believe him?
Um, yeah, 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 yeah. And so this is a 60-year-old guy that's like obviously made it, got his set.
And
And
what is
so,
it? They're about $2.60 a share at the moment, aren't they?
it's $3 something Australian.
Yeah.
What's it US?
So
It's
he'd
two
be
dollars
what,
forty.
40 grand in to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And his attitude was he thinks it's going at $10. He thinks it's going at $10 a coin probably by the end of this year. Now that's $10 Australian, so maybe $7.50, $6, $7 US.
Again, anyone that's listening, we're not in any way advising anything. We're just two dudes having a conversation. No financial advice whatsoever. We're just trying to figure it out like everyone else. So we're just talking about it. Shannon's, just to recap, anyone that's just joined, Shannon's talking about some of the circles that he's in and what he's hearing as well. Like he's been interested in this stuff in XRP since mid COVID, but even just walking around the workplace amongst these quite influential circles, he's hearing people bringing up XRP all the time. So there is quite a bit of awareness, and he's saying he's coming into contact with a few people that supposedly hold quite a bit. Can we maybe just pause there for a second, Shannon? Did you want to maybe just go through the chat Scroll up a little bit. So the last thing was we ended off with Stu Lavelle saying Japan, and Stu was right on that. Stu sounds quite knowledgeable on this stuff, so awesome to have you in the chat, Stu. And again, I hope everyone's doing well in body, soul, mind, and spirit. But if you're not, that's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. Keep that in mind, okay? Japan leaders were summoned to San Francisco Ripple headquarters around 2019, to get with the program. JP Morgan confronted Ripple. They wanted to teach. They wanted to tech for themselves. Didn't work. Okay, so you want to continue on from there with the chat, Shannon, maybe?
Yeah, sure. Ripple got sued by the SEC. Yeah, well, that was the thing that got me sort of looking into this, is like how it's not every day you get sued by the SEC and come out with a partial win. They still had to pay a penalty fee based on, my understanding is the sale of it to certain groups, but the product itself was clarified as being commodity, not security. So that was and that gives regulatory compliance to an extent for the entire market, although specifically on XRP. But yeah, well, this is confusing all of a sudden. I think all this whole everything we're talking about is confusing, to be honest. So
yeah, we're just trying to make
work it
sense
out.
of it as well.
XRP $2.36 a prop USA. Yeah. And it's one of those things I track it in USD and in AUD just because the Australian exchange rate is constantly crap. And that's because our politicians are doing and our Reserve Bank's doing all weird stuff. So it's not. I actually try to formulate my strategy of dollar cost averaging in based off what the US dollar is doing, not the Australian,
Oh,
because our
really?
exchange rate, yeah,
What do you mean
because
by
our
that? What does that actually mean?
dollar cost averaging in. So just like once a
Oh, I know.
fortnight.
We know what that most. Oh, sorry. Yeah, explain it to me. I'm sorry.
So you yeah, like month on month or week on week, would it contributing a small bit to buying more, just when it dips.
And
But
what do
in
you mean
terms
by
of
using the US dollar? Do you mean that you're buying US dollars with AUD and then dollar costing in with
no.
USD? Is that what you're saying, or
I'm
what?
buying with AUD, but I will orientate my decision to buy at certain times based on and following the dollar cost averaging strategy based on the USD value of that XRP, not AUD, because our exchange rate
I think I
is up
understand
and
what you're saying.
down, and it's so
Yeah,
inconsistent. And
yeah.
our government does something stupid, and then our dollar goes to crap, and it's not reflective of what the rest of the global market might actually be doing.
Interesting. Yep, yep,
Um,
yep, yep.
I'm still paying for it in
In
AUD,
AUD, but I understand.
but
I understand what you're
but
saying.
but yeah, I just try to follow
I'm
the
the same.
trend.
I'm the same in the sense that whenever I look at the prices online, I'm always using USD
Yeah,
because
yeah.
otherwise you just screw your head over too much trying to do the conversion all the time.
Yeah, and I just think we get a more accurate representation of what the global market's doing based off. I mean, that's why the USD has been more powerful. But my preference is to use coin market cap, and what the US value is rather than what is popping up on our
Yeah,
wallet.
coin market cap. When Shannon says coin market cap, that's just like a website you can use that indexes all the coins and that. You can see the price. It has some nice graphs and things like that on it. Not sponsored or anything by it by any
So
means.
there's
Again, we'll just turn this on. And we'll say this real quick. So Stu was putting the price up on what we're talking about. So $2.36 approximately US. And props for YouTubing. Really appreciate it, Stu. It's like any of these things. Shannon and I, and even a couple of other mates, we have some really interesting long form conversations that can go on for hours. Actually, like the other day, we were talking about. Like some medical things and different things that people could, like holistic ways of doing this and that, like all types of different stuff. I swear that phone conversation went for 8 or 9 hours, didn't it? Like literally,
yeah,
by
a
the
long
time
time. Will we?
I finished up, I was like, dude, we were on that call for so long because people were messaging me. They're like, are you available? Are you available? I'm like, no, sorry, I'm in a call. I'm sorry, I'm in a call. And by the time I got back to them, they're like, were you in a call that long? And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, I was wrecked. But anyways, we have some really good long form conversations about a whole bunch of things. And we're always sitting back going, that's a good YouTube video. That's a good YouTube video. That's a good YouTube video. And we've never done it. And even like there's heaps of stuff we've lost over the years of having conversations. But I was just sitting there having a coffee, and I said to Shannon, I was like, oh, dude, there's nothing stopping me from just turning the phone on and doing a YouTube video. So a little bit fiddly and stuff, but we got it happening. So thanks heaps, Stu. That's really good for giving us props for doing the tube. So we appreciate it.
I'll read that next comment though. So Stu said, no, we speak of US dollar because US is the center. I agree. I'm Aussie, but in gold, silver, crypto prices, I follow US dollar as well. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Better to talk about this stuff than wondering what color Kim Kardashian likes. You won't catch me sitting there pondering that either. So, I'm too bloody busy, to be honest, to be following anything to do with what's going on with the pop culture and the rest of the world. Yeah, not interested. I mean, and like I'm early 30s, so but I think I wonder what the rest of our demographic
are into.
Are into. I know. We get on quite well because our views of the world are probably not in the box with everybody else. But yeah, I mean, I'm just too busy with trying to work all these big questions out to sit there and be wasting time with all that other stuff.
Yeah, well, like Stu's saying, it's just like, yeah, it's good to just get together, have a chat about it and try and figure it out, because otherwise you're all just in your own head. So I think it's awesome that Stu's been able to jump in here and offer up some of this stuff as well. You're just as much part of this conversation as, Shannon and I are, just chin wagging along. So you're putting some interesting stuff out there. Stu, if I can ask you, what are you thinking about XRP? Do you currently hold XRP? And what do you think is going to happen moving forward? So Shannon owns XRP, and I have some XRP from back in the day, as far as I can remember. I haven't logged into my stuff for a long time due to the fact that I'm more of a hodler. But I have a few trepidations about going in on XRP. I'm more likely to be going in on USDT. I think if it does take off the way they want it to, XRP, and then the American dollar starts to strengthen, I personally would rather have some money in USDT that can then benefit from that strengthening dollar rather than being in XRP. I just don't necessarily trust these big hedge funds and these groups to do the right thing. It's going to be really interesting to see the opening price if and when they sign off on this stuff with the SEC, because pretty much every single coin out there, they all come in really high and then they just tank, right? And then over the next months, they kind of figure out their way. So the idea that they're going to open up and it's just going to go up from there, I would rather wait a little bit, see what happens, let it drop, and then come in at the bottom, if that makes sense. I just don't necessarily trust those. Like, you got to understand, those big hedge funds and that, it's their job to make money, and they got the systems. We can't out. It's like if you're boxing or something, right? You know that they're stronger or they're faster. You have to work to your strengths and your weaknesses. And I think it behooves us to be having more of these conversations, waiting it out, not getting FOMO. The FOMO is just bad. You see it happening all the time, and we've been in this crypto space for quite a while, so it doesn't really affect us. Whether it's high, whether it's low, it means nothing. I literally have no feeling towards it, which is, you could argue, that is kind of bad in another sense. But it's like, I still like more, generally speaking, I still like the more traditional approach towards the crypto and what it was designed for, which was those decentralized networks, which was holding your private keys, which was self-custody, which is all those type of things. I'm not saying that there's no place for all this institutional side of things. There 100% is, and it's going that way, and it's going to happen to a certain degree. I'm just not as quick to jump in and go, that's the way of the future. It's all going to work out perfect. I'd rather wait a little bit. Again, not financial advice. That's just me and my own thoughts currently. Probably rambling a bit, but hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Shannon, did you want to jump into the chat maybe and follow up?
Yeah.
There's some football questions. Shannon's a big AFL fan.
I mean, if you can call supporting Fremantle.
I don't know much about that, what he's referring to, other than the fact that I do know Fremantle is like Fremantle? Fremantle they've only, if ever, won the premiership maybe once or twice, or if ever.
Never.
Okay. So that's why he's
yeah.
saying that. Yeah.
All right. So Stu says better to talk about this stuff. Wondering. Oh, yep, we got that. Footy, sport, mainstream media news, no value, and doesn't make me wealthy. Yep. So practically, we are barely doing good financially. You'll have to give us some clarity on that one, Dustin. Hypothetically, I own XRP, Stu. Yep. And that's an interesting. I mean, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but and this is not what I'm about to say is not an objective necessarily. I have seen some people online talking and on videos and based on some of the data that in order to be in the top 10% of XRP holder wallets, you only need, I think it's like 2,400 coins.
Yeah, you was telling me about this yesterday, and you want to be that 10%, eh?
Yeah. I'm working towards that.
Yeah.
And I'm in a fortunate position where
You
I
just
have some
love to
people.
tell people stuff like that. Shannon
I
just
have,
loves the flex. Oh, by the way, I'm in the top 10% of. That's just
yeah.
Shannon's personality.
I'm working towards that objective. I'm pretty much there. I'm pretty close, but I don't have the benefit of having bought in before before Trump got in. So if you look at the price shoot back up, it was at 50 cents for like 5 years because of the SEC lawsuit. Trump gets re-elected and then the price shoots up. Now I managed to get in between Trump getting elected and the SEC lawsuit settling. So I didn't get those really cheap prices. So my average buying cost is like $2.50 US or something like that. It's something like that.
But
And
you're in
I'm
play. You're in the game. This is the thing. Like
yeah.
you're in there. You got to be in it to win it, as they say.
Well, I'm just banking on my sort of. I think my approach to this is look. Let's see what these ETFs do, and hopefully we can hit an all-time high of like $5 US. I'll have doubled my money if that happens. So that's great. If I can do that, that's awesome. But after that, I'll be looking to move some across to some of these other coins, like maybe an XLM and an hbar, because I've heard speculation that there could be some ETFs coming down the pipeline for some of these other coins as well. But if you go back to the comments, Stu says, me no play with stocks or bonds, too scary. Sit back and watch the show. Fair enough. Maybe Stu has real estate. I don't know. I do. That's where my attention's been for the last 5 years, not crypto. So this is all kind of new for me anyway. Something like that. Yeah, percentage. I hope you were not to 1% of a lunar. I don't know if you can interpret that, Blake.
There was a big. I believe there was like a Luna is another coin. There was a big crash, or didn't they have an issue? Someone stole some stuff or something. I don't know much about that.
Drew says hbar is a huge winner, quantum protection. So, Blake, do you know anything about hbar?
I know back in the day I was looking at it seriously, and it's something I was looking at yesterday seriously as well. I didn't get into it back in the day, and again, the reason So when I looked at it back in the day, I thought, okay, this is going to be something. There's something here, right? And one of the big reasons is because all the big institutional players are in there. It's just massive, and the idea that they would all be in there and it wouldn't have at least some success would be weird. That's what I was thinking back in the day. But again, my personality with my style of it, I tend towards like the self-custody, the old school cyberpunks kind of way of doing things. So the idea of them putting the money into that system with all these big players just didn't, at least at the time, sit well for me. And still probably doesn't. It just feels like it's getting away from the core of it. But at the same time, like I said, there's a place for it. And looking at it over time and familiar, I want to know what the companies are doing with, if I put the money into it. I want to know what they're doing. I want to know if I believe and think that that's going to benefit the greater world in essence. If it's not, even if I can make something out of it, I'd probably much rather not be part of it. Some people don't really care. They'll be in it if there's money to be gained. They'll be in it. But it's just but what I'm saying is, I think there's something to be said for it. I need to look into it a bit more. But the last time I looked into it, which was years ago, I was like, some of those names in there, do you know much about it, Shannon? Intel's in there, isn't it? Isn't Intel in there?
Well, I think to be honest, the quick explanation is what Stu said, which is quantum protection. So it is a
okay, hold on a second. 1 second, Shannon. Stu's going to bounce. Stu has been a massive contributor to this live stream. We've been going for what, an hour and 6 minutes already. Stu, you've been a massive part of it. Thanks heaps, mate. Appreciate you joining. Like we said earlier, to anyone that's joined the stream, we hope that you're doing well in body, soul, mind, and spirit. But if you're not, that's okay. Keep on keeping on. Fight, fight, fight each day. And just remember, tomorrow's a new day as well. So thanks heaps for joining, Stu. Maybe we'll see you in the next one. He has subscribed or subbed, as they say. We'll see you on the next one, Stu. Sorry, Shannon, over to you.
Yeah, so that's right. So quantum protection, it's another ledger, but it's potentially going to be used to be, from what I understand, it has just different use cases. So real estate might be a better asset to be pushed into the hbar system for smart contract use. That's my very limited understanding. I did hold some, and then with that big crash recently, I swapped that out for XRP just to get my XRP position a bit better.
True.
But I will be buying back into hbar because it is, I think it's like 60%, it's 60% down from its all-time high. So if it's got an ETF application on the horizon,
could you do a YouTube search? Could you do a internet search and find out what the market cap currently is of hbar?
It's market cap 7 billion.
7 bill. It's not an insubstantial amount.
No, but it's it peaked at like in 2021 at like
so it's down from its peak, is it?
35 cents, 42 cents. Yeah, it's 60% down from its all-time high in 2021.
Sure.
But if an ETF application is approved for it, then you might get some institutional money coming in. That might help push it back up, and it might keep it up. So I'm going to put some money into it. Not a heap, but just a
quick pause. Quick pause, Shannon. Dustin.
Yeah.
Dustin has also been a big contributor to this stream. Dustin, what you were saying earlier with your family member that's currently going through the wars, absolutely in the trenches, digging through there, dealing with some heavy medical stuff and things like that. We do wish him all the best. And I know that you put his name in the chat, so I'll be in prayer about that tonight. Wishing and hoping him a full recovery, but being realistic about these things as well. Either way it goes, we wish for the best and hope and pray for the best. So praying for you and your family as well at this time. We won't say too much else because we're talking about crypto, but I appreciate you feeling that you can share that with us, and we'll do what we can from afar to address that in the spirit. So appreciate you putting that forward, man, and all the best. And we'll see you on the next one, possibly. Anyone else that's watching, feel free to subscribe. This is the first time we've done one of these ad hoc crypto talks. My channel is very ad hoc with a whole bunch of different things. But I do know that we do, in conversations, Shannon, myself, a whole bunch of other mates, have some really interesting talks. And I want to maybe just put it out there for anyone else that wants to hear it. So, yeah, over to you, Shannon. I do apologise for cutting in again.
No, all good. Yeah, so there's a couple of opportunities. I think hbar and XLM are
What's
popular.
XLM about? Because I had XLM back in the day. I think I've still got a small amount of it. What's XLM about? And actually, let's take a pause here for just a moment. I'm getting quite parched. I've had 2 of my coffees, and I think I might get something else. Now, people in the stream, what do you recommend? I've got there's beer over here. I'm not interested in having beer. There's Vietnamese cigarettes over here in the counter, probably 20 cents for a whole packet of them, but to hell if I'm having those and hurting my health. There's even free tobacco out the front. So if we turn this around real quick, we just pause the crypto talk for a second. This is a little kitchenette that I got my coffee made up in, and there out the front there, you've got the free tobacco and the big water pipe that I could use if I wanted to. And I mean, it's quite grey today, and I can imagine there's a lot of people hitting that thing up to just get some warmth back into the lungs. But I'm thinking down the bottom there, I don't know if you can see, right down the bottom, there's some green teas. So I'm thinking a little green tea. So Shannon, if you want to entertain our guests, all of 4 guests that I think are currently watching, quality guests, we go for quality guests here, not quantity. You can keep the conversation going while I grab maybe.
Yeah, well, while you're doing that, I'll read the AI overview for XLM. So
okay. I'll be back in just a second, everyone.
no worries. So XLM is the native digital currency of the Stellar network, a blockchain designed for fast, low-cost border transactions. Lumen XLM are used to pay small transaction fees to prevent spam, act as a bridge currency to facilitate exchanges between different currencies, and are required for the minimum balance in every account to ensure network security. The network itself uses Stellar Consensus Protocol, a mining fee consensus mechanism that validates transactions in seconds. So basically competes with XRP is the short answer. I'll give Blake the simple explanation. So I've just given the technical explanation, but the short answer is it does the same thing as XRP and it competes with them in technology.
Ooh. So why don't XRP just buy them out?
I think maybe they would say their technology is superior, perhaps.
Anyway.
And I think you've got to put this in context. I mean, XRP, and I haven't. This is actually something I haven't done a big deep dive on, but perhaps like we should, and we should do another video on this separately. Is the history of the patents that Ripple has over the ledger that in some cases is older than, well, not, it's not Ripple, but it was David what's his surname? David.
Sacks or something? Is that it? That sounds about it.
Nah, it's CTO of Ripple is David Schwartz is the former CTO of Ripple. I think he had a patent over part of the ledger as well that predates Bitcoin, and he was an original like a coder from back in the Bitcoin scene as well.
Yep.
So now he's just stepped down, like as of 3 weeks ago, but he's stayed on as a board member. So yeah, but there's been speculation that he could be Satoshi. I don't know that I buy that, but I think he's just way too public. But he knows a lot. He's like a wizard. So anything he says usually gets a lot of attention. So yeah, but yeah,
Okay.
no. So XRP is doing similar thing to XLM, but I think that they would say their technology's better. They've got patents. I don't know how that competes. And I've never done a technical analysis of the two, but um,
Can we shift topic here, because I feel like we've covered the XRP stuff to both of our, you know,
yep.
to the best that we can. We spoke about Japan before. This is definitely a shift of topic and a shift of gears. Our government has just purchased some warships off Japan, right?
I didn't know that. Can you enlighten me?
Well, Brave search can, since you got the computer in front of you, just go. Um, Australia
Haven't
buys
haven't
warships.
haven't we all haven't we all come a long way since World War Two?
That's crazy. I've got some good Japanese friends, and yeah, it's not that long ago, and we quite often talk about it. One of the Japanese friends I have, I would like to do a live stream with and do this exact same thing, talking about the history of Japan and Australia, because yeah, it wasn't that long ago that both sides were bombing the hell out of each other. So it's a good thing that we've somehow figured things out. We're not doing that as much anymore. But
Yeah,
Australia has just bought some. Now they're frigates, right, or destroyers?
yep. 11 Mogami class frigates from
Yeah,
Japan and a
yeah,
$10 billion deal.
yeah. And how long ago was that? Well, that was about 6 to 12 months ago, right?
Yeah, and it looks like the first to be commissioned will be
Pretty soon, right?
next year.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my understanding is the Japanese actually, part of the contract was that they will fast track the first couple of boats or something and push them through really fast. And, you know, everyone knows Japanese technology, precision. This is just personal opinion. I think a lot of that precision and that kind of mentality came from the Edo period, where they were shut off from the rest of the world, and they just zoomed in on everything and just full just like perfection mode, because they'll cut off from the rest of the world. Their whole country and that just shut itself off up until a point where it was America, right? USA. They literally just walked in one day. They just rocked up with the
Mm.
ships and they just walked in, and he walked straight up to the emperor at the time, and then it forced them to open and stuff like that. If I'm not correct, I could be wrong on that, but yeah. Anyways, like they're Japanese people. Like I've got Japanese friends. They're really interesting culture. Um, you've been to Japan, right?
Yeah, I definitely didn't do it the justice that it deserves, though. I
Only a
went,
short trip, or
yeah, so I booked this is a bit of a funny story, actually. So I booked a trip to Japan, and I intended to spend a couple of weeks there. And before I got to Japan, I got a flight, a really cheap flight from the Gold Coast, Australia, to Seoul, South Korea.
Seoul or Seoul? How do
Seoul,
you?
how I'm not sure
Like,
the
I
pronunciation.
like I don't know either. There's a
So,
restaurant near me, and it's Seoul, like Japanese food or something. I should go and
mm,
try it. But I always see it, and I'm like, is it Seoul or is it Seoul? I don't even know. If anyone knows in the chat, just throw it in.
yeah, so I got a flight. Now this was pre-COVID. I think it was 2019. It was like November, December 2019. So it was just before the borders got shut. I got back to Australia and the border shut. But so I booked this flight from the Gold Coast direct to Korea um, for like $199. It was one way. It was like a new flight path that Jetstar was running, and so anyway, I was like, I'll go and do the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, and
Hold on, that's
um,
Korea, isn't it?
yeah, I'm getting to the Japan part. So
Wait, what?
so I booked this flight to Japan, but I was like, I'll go to Korea first for 3 days. and I was staying in Hongdae, which is the university district in Korea. And then I had a connecting flight for like $75 Australian, pretty cheap, to Tokyo. Now I ended up on a bender in Korea partying, missed my flight, and then just stayed in Korea for like 2 weeks drinking.
So you didn't even plan. You didn't even plan for that.
No, and so then I ended up going to Tokyo, and I was like off a 2 day bend. Sorry, a 2 week bender, literally every day, just out of control. This
Well,
was
that's
like
not very smart, Shannon. But you
university
said you're
days.
straight out of university.
Yeah, yeah. And so I didn't really even leave the city. I did some of the more touristy attractions in Tokyo and those famous
Did you
streets with
go
the
to
neon
those?
light.
Did you go to any of those areas where like they're those? I don't. There's names for them, but you know how they're like these old little pockets of alleyways that are like kept old. Like they've got the old
Yeah.
kind of Shinto shrines and the torii gates, and you do your clapping boat when you go through, and all the geishas are walking around in their outfits, and you've got old buildings. Like, did you go to any of those?
Yeah, so I did. There's a place in Tokyo called the Shinjuku Golden Guy, I think it is. Golden Guy, GAI. And it is like an original part of the city from
Yeah, yeah.
100 years ago that's
It's
been
like frozen in
preserved.
time type of thing. Yeah,
Yeah, just like this
yeah.
little capsule, and that was amazing. And I think it's all privately owned, and so yes, so we did do that and got to do some of that stuff. But I just, in the context of like what I was doing on this trip, I just didn't do any of it justice, and so I need to go and like do it all again. I did some of the lowbrow stuff that there's a lot of
What does that
I
mean?
should clarify when I say that. I didn't do anything. Just the shops that sell um lots of crazy in your face different things. That's all a bit on the nose. I
Different
might
culture, different everything. So you're talking about more of the underground side of stuff that you don't see out in the open.
yeah, just exploring
Just
I
popping
mean
your head in just to
I
have a
didn't
look
buy
type of
anything or
thing.
do anything, but just
Yeah.
just just the shops and the and even just the like the anime scene, for example. Like a lot of that culturally is just so
What's the
radically different
difference
to anything.
between like because there's anime and there's manga, right? My understanding is manga is like the written, the drawings and stuff, but then anime is the animation. Is that right?
I
You don't
I
know,
don't
yeah.
know. Yeah, what?
So you're saying that was a big thing when you were there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. So, but Korea, on the other hand, though, that's a lot of fun, and I highly
Yeah.
recommend anyone um, go to if they want to go and have a good time in Korea. Hongdae University District is a lot of fun. But going back to the start, to go full circle, about beaches.
Yep.
Um, yes, I think being Australian um, and having been born and raised on the best beaches in the world. And I've done a fair bit of
Not
traveling
we're
around
not
the
even
world.
apologetic for saying that. Like, let's be honest.
No,
Like, you can't beat it. Like, we have a small population, very clean country. No, it's like you get in the water, it's clean. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's so clean that like the animals will come right up to you. That's the only concern is like sharks and stuff like that. Like genuine concern is sharks and that, depending on where you're
yeah,
swimming and
yeah.
that. But like, um, yeah, it's just clean, and you get in the water. You're always seeing some animals. Or you'll see how often, like where Shannon used to live. We won't divulge where he used to live, but like dolphins, eh? You just see the dolphins and they come up to you and like it's just, and you don't think anything of that. Like you grew up in Australia, you're like, yeah, they're just dolphins, and then you go over to overseas and you get near the water or something, and you're around other groups of people, and they see some creature. It'll just be some lame ass creature, and they'll just make a big deal out of it. And we're like, I'm speaking like subjectively from our, like, I get it, it's meaningful to them. I don't want to take away from that, but like from our perspective, like, oh yeah, you really, like really. Like, we're used to
Well,
seeing dolphins and stuff, and so yeah, it takes a lot to impress an Australian with the beach, you know.
yeah. So I mean, like I tip my hat to the Caribbean. I've been there. That was a lot of fun, and
I'm wearing the hat here. You don't even have a hat on today. Tip
um,
something else.
but I tell you what, in Asia, the one beach that I have been to that I thought was nice
Hmm.
was South Sri Lanka.
Ooh, you went there recently. That was your second last trip overseas, right?
Yeah, yep, yeah, second or third last trip. Yeah, so that was South Sri Lanka. Couple of surf spots, and the water
Oh,
was.
did you actively surf there as well?
No, I didn't. But it's the water was clean, and it was like any Asian country, you know, there's pollution is an ongoing battle that they're dealing with, but the ocean water itself was actually like it was probably the best out of any of the Asian countries that I've been to by a long shot. So
How would you compare it
um,
to the Bali destination you were in when you were talking about earlier in the stream? Would
cleaner.
you'd go Sri Lanka for the beaches over Bali?
Nah, the diving I still think was better in Indonesia off the island, but
Okay.
the water is was just clean in Sri Lanka.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I mean it's there's better beaches in Bali, or Indonesia, but the water was cleaner. Yeah, in Sri Lanka. But
Well,
it's just hard because you go to Australia and everything's just like tick tick tick.
yeah.
Everything, and I've been I've had the benefit of living in like 5 states of Australia and
Which is
living in
hectic
all
in
the
and of
countries.
itself, man. Like that's hectic in and of itself. Most people don't have the benefit of that, so that's
Yeah,
a blessing straight away, just there. Um, well, we're approaching an hour and a half of the stream, and it's funny because, like I said, we could easily go on for like 6, 7 hours. But I think we have reached our limit with the XRP and some of the crypto stuff. So, given that that's been the subject matter at hand, we'll probably start wrapping it up now. But thanks for joining, everyone. We appreciate the interactions that people have had, and there's been some really good ones there that have added quite a lot to the conversation. So I've enjoyed it. This is the first collab kind of joint thing that we've done before on the channel, and I think it's been quite a success. I'm relatively happy with the audio quality. It seems
yeah.
pretty good. The video
Good.
seems pretty good. Looks like we've summed 5 likes on the video, so that's cool. And it'll be interesting to see how many people popped in and had a quick little look on the analytics. So um, maybe we do another one pretty soon, Shannon. I'm keen. It's
Yeah,
like any of these things. Once you get the ball rolling, you feel more and more comfortable with it. So, um,
yeah.
yeah, I couldn't really care less about how I'm perceived on the internet, like I said to you before. So,
Mm.
we'll just whatever. We'll just smash out some more episodes. Maybe we find a topic for maybe tomorrow, if you're available. And we go down the rabbit hole with that. But thanks for joining, anyone that's here. Do feel free to. Ooh, we got a comment here. XRP. Your name is X. Hold on, XR. Hold on, that's a challenge. Give me a second. XRP. You're Rican. Oh, Puerto Rican. So are you saying like, are you from Puerto Rico, but you're big on XRP? Is that what you're saying? You're a Puerto Rican XRP. So you're XR, yeah, or XR Puerto Rican. XR Puerto Rican. That's what it says. That's an interesting username. Anything, while we're kind of somewhat wrapping it up, you got it. There you
Yeah,
go.
there you
Puerto
go.
Rico. So you're in Puerto Rico, are you? we've had some people from the US of A, because you can't just say America, right? Because America is a huge place and it encompasses more than just the United States. So we've had some people from the United States. I'm thinking Mr. Stu was maybe from Australia. I don't know. I just have a feeling the way he was talking and stuff like that.
I believe that they might have said that in the comments as well. So,
Okay.
but yeah, no, I'd be keen. Perhaps we can do a follow up on the crypto scene and how that's
How about tomorrow
progressing.
let's do a chat on gold. What's happening with gold and silver?
Yeah, you can lead that because you are way more equipped to handle that conversation. I actually have never owned any gold until recently. So
You
I
FOMO'd
have.
in? Did you FOMO?
Oh yeah, that's right. I FOMO bought in.
No, did
But
you or
maybe that.
not? You did. Why, did you or not?
No, I just feel like that's a loaded question.
What do you? How is that low? Did you FOMO? Just be honest. Like, did you go in at the top because you were scared that you're going to miss out?
No, the reference was to my ring,
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh,
so
wasn't that
that's why I feel
silver?
like it's no white gold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
White
But
gold.
I bought yeah, long story short, let's save this for the next conversation. We'll do gold
Oh,
next.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, we've probably bounced around enough as it is. People's brains are probably starting to hurt. Thanks everyone for joining. XR Puerto Rican, you've joined in right at the last moment, but that's okay. Glad to have you here. Anyone that's still with us, I hope you're doing well in body, soul, mind, and spirit. But if you're not, that's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. Keep on fighting on, and we'll see you on the next one with Shannon and I, and we'll talk about something equally interesting. And it'd be great to have people join in and share their thoughts and their opinions, and by all means, criticize as much as you want, because it's the internet and that's what people are good at. So go nuts. Anything else, Shannon? Okay. Peace out.
That's good.
Peace out from Ninh Binh, Vietnam. And Shannon, where are you coming from?
Unfortunately, the cold, sad Melbourne, Victoria. So,
But hold on, what's the temperature there at the moment compared to here? Because it's
well,
13, lower 13 here today.
so
The
it
first day
is.
I've had my jumper on in like almost a year and a half.
It is
What's the?
currently 14 degrees Celsius.
Oh, so I win by 1 point. Is that right?
There you go. Well, I'm in a jumper
No,
too. So,
it's not all a
all right.
competition. Okay, all right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.